During an ocean cruise aboard the RMS Queen Elizabeth II in 1986, Nick Parker, played by Dennis Quaid, and Elizabeth James, played by Natasha Richardson, cross paths, fall in love, and eventually get married. After the birth of their twin daughters, Annie and Hallie, played by Lindsay Lohan, the couple divorces and loses contact with each other. Each parent takes one twin and raises her without revealing the existence of her sister. Nick brings up Hallie in Napa Valley and achieves success as a wealthy wine grower, while Elizabeth raises Annie in London and establishes herself as a renowned wedding gown designer. More than a decade after their divorce, Nick and Elizabeth by chance enroll their daughters in the same all-girls summer camp in Maine, which is called Camp Walden. It is here that Hallie and Annie encounter each other for the first time, during the final stages of a fencing competition. Upon removing their masks, they discover that they are identical in appearance. Their initial meeting leads to a humorous rivalry between the girls, which eventually escalates into a full-blown prank war. The conflict comes to a head when the camp counselors fall into one of Hallie's traps, causing the twins to be separated from the other girls. While living together in a remote cabin, Hallie and Annie come to the realization that they were born on the same day and each possess half of a torn wedding photograph featuring their parents. Excited by this discovery, the girls hatch a plan to reunite with their long-lost parents. They train each other to imitate their respective mannerisms and speech patterns, intending to switch places at the end of the summer camp session. The twins execute their plan once summer camp comes to a close. Hallie, disguised as Annie, travels to London to meet her mother, maternal grandfather Charles, and the James family's butler, Martin, played by Simon Coons. Meanwhile, Annie, posing as Hallie, journeys to California to meet her father, Nick, the Parker family's housekeeper, Chessie, played by Lisa and Walter, their dog Sammy, and Nick's gold-digging fiancée, Meredith Blake, played by Elaine Hendricks, who is solely interested in Nick's wealth. Deeply troubled by Meredith's manipulative nature, Annie contacts Hallie and persuades her to bring Elizabeth to California to put an end to the engagement. Unfortunately, Charles catches Hallie using the phone, and in California, Chessie discovers that the girl present is actually Annie, not Hallie. Eventually, everyone except Nick and Meredith becomes aware of the twins' true identities when they are unexpectedly reunited with their long-lost relatives. In an effort to reunite Nick and Elizabeth, Hallie, Annie, Chessie, Martin, and Charles collaborate to orchestrate a meeting between the former spouses at a hotel in San Francisco. They arrange for Nick to meet with Meredith's parents and deliberately keep Elizabeth unaware of Meredith's presence. Feeling apprehensive about the encounter, Elizabeth asks Martin to accompany her and Hallie. Despite some amusing confusion at the hotel, Nick and Elizabeth ultimately come face to face. Nick discovers the truth about the switch, and the girls organize a romantic dinner for their parents aboard a yacht, with Chessie and Martin serving as waitstaff. During the meal, Elizabeth reveals that Nick did not pursue her after she left him, to which Nick admits that he was unsure of Elizabeth's feelings toward him. Although they decide to allow the girls to spend holidays together, they opt not to rekindle their relationship. Disheartened by their parents' decision not to reunite, Hallie and Annie pressure them into taking them on their annual camping trip before the start of the school year, a tradition that Nick and Hallie share. However, the girls keep their true identities a secret. Elizabeth convinces Meredith to accompany Nick and the girls on the camping trip in her place, while she remains at the Parker estate. During the excursion, the girls play numerous pranks on Meredith, culminating in a final stunt that involves sending her out onto the lake while she is asleep. Tensions come to a head following this prank. Meredith becomes furious and gives Nick an ultimatum, she or his daughters. Nick chooses his girls over Meredith and ends their engagement. Although Annie and Hallie receive punishment for their mischievous behavior, they are relieved to be rid of Meredith for good. Later, when the girls are out of earshot, Nick asks Elizabeth to remind him to thank them one day. Upon his return home, Nick shows Elizabeth his collection of wines, which includes the same wine they drank at their wedding. Elizabeth is initially touched, but then decides to return to London with Annie. However, upon their arrival, they find Hallie and Nick waiting for them, having flown there on the Concorde. They explain that they realized they didn't want to lose each other again, and Nick finally chased after Elizabeth like he should have done the first time she left. Elizabeth is hesitant to remarry, but eventually yields to Nick's unwavering confidence. Hallie and Annie watch unhappily as their parents embrace. The film ends with Nick and Elizabeth getting remarried aboard the QE2, with the girls serving as bridesmaids, and with Martin and Chessie announcing their engagement to be married.